If her baby died the night she gave birth, why was the hospital charging her for oxygen treatments 2 weeks later? And why did they lock her out immediately after she noticed it?
I paid for my baby's funeral, and the hospital still billed me for her oxygen 3 months later. I remember staring at the envelope in my kitchen, thinking it had to be some sick mistake. My daughter was dead. That's what they told me after my emergency C-section. Dr. Keller looked me in the eyes and said she didn't make it. So why was there a neonatal care charge dated 12 days after her death? I called the hospital immediately. The woman on the phone went quiet for 2 full seconds before telling me their system sometimes glitches after infant fatalities. Infant fatalities. Like my daughter was just another file. I almost believed her too, until that night, when I opened my medical records online and saw one word next to my baby's name: alive. And right after I read it, someone tried to lock me out of my account. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The screen flickered twice before the page disappeared completely. Session expired. I just sat there staring at my laptop, my hand frozen on the mouse. My apartment was dead quiet, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my own breathing getting sharper, faster, uneven. Alive. I knew what I saw. I started typing my password again so fast my fingers slipped across the keys. Error. I tried again. Error. Then the hospital portal refreshed with a message saying my account had been temporarily restricted due to suspicious login activity. Suspicious. Like I was the problem. My chest tightened so hard it actually hurt. For a second, I thought I was going to throw up. Because if my daughter was alive, then every single thing that happened after my surgery changed. The condolences, the funeral, the sympathy cards. My mother holding me while I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. None of it made sense anymore. I grabbed the billing statement off the counter with shaking hands and read the dates again. Neonatal respiratory care, oxygen stabilization, 3 separate charges. I kept hearing Dr. Keller's voice in my head from the recovery room. We did everything we could. He'd said it gently, calmly, like someone practiced at delivering bad news. I remembered the way he wouldn't fully meet my eyes. At the time, I thought he was uncomfortable because I was screaming and begging to see my baby. Now I remembered something else. He never actually said he saw her die. That realization slid through me so cold it made my skin prickle. I pushed back from the table and nearly tripped over one of the unopened baby gift boxes still sitting near the wall. Yellow wrapping paper, tiny stuffed giraffes printed on the side. I hadn't touched them in months. I couldn't. Every time I looked at them, I heard that nurse in recovery saying, "You should rest now, Eva." Rest, while they took my daughter away. My phone buzzed suddenly against the counter, making me jump so hard I almost dropped it. Blocked number. I stared at it ringing. Once, twice. Then I answered. For a second, nothing. Just breathing. Then a woman whispered, so quietly I almost missed it. "They know you accessed the file." My entire body went numb. "Who is this?" I said immediately. "Who are you? What do you mean they know?" Her breathing got shakier. "You need to stop asking questions about your baby." My heart slammed against my ribs. "No," I said, standing so fast my chair scraped hard across the floor. "No, listen to me. If you know something, tell me where she is." Silence. Then, very softly, "She wasn't supposed to survive." The line went dead. I called the number back immediately, straight to a disconnected tone. I tried again anyway, pacing barefoot across my kitchen floor while my hands shook so badly I almost dropped my phone. The automated voice repeated the same thing over and over. "This number is no longer in service." I felt my throat tightening. Whoever she was, she sounded terrified. Not emotional, not confused, terrified. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of the delivery room again, the harsh surgical lights, the pressure in my chest when they rushed me into the emergency C-section, nurses moving too quickly, voices overlapping, and then afterward, silence. That was the part that suddenly felt wrong. No crying, no doctor rushing to save her in front of me, just sedation pulling me under while someone adjusted my IV and told me everything would be okay. When I finally drifted off for maybe an hour near sunrise, I woke to someone pounding on my apartment door, Marcus. The second I opened it, he knew something was wrong. "Eva," he said carefully, stepping inside. "You look horrible." I almost laughed at that. Horrible didn't even cover it anymore. I handed him the billing statement without saying anything. He read it once, then again slower. His face changed. "It's probably a mistake," he said quietly. "That's exactly what they told me." He rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes now. Hospitals mess up paperwork all the time, but they locked me out of my records right after I found this. That made him pause. I watched fear move across his face for half a second before he covered it. "You're spiraling," he said softly. "Eva, you've been through hell." The words hit harder than he probably meant them to, because that was exactly how everyone had started talking to me after the funeral. Slow voices, careful voices, like anything I felt could be blamed on grief instead of reality. I stared at him. "Did you ever see her?" Marcus blinked. "What?" "After she was born." My voice cracked slightly. "Did you actually see our daughter dead?" The apartment went completely still. He swallowed once. "No," he admitted. A cold wave rolled through my stomach. "What did they tell you?" "That there were complications," he said quickly. "Eva, I was freaking out. They kept moving me between waiting rooms and paperwork and—" "What paperwork?" His sentence stopped too fast, sharp, suspicious. I stepped closer. "Marcus, what paperwork?" Before he could answer, my phone vibrated again. Unknown number. This time, it wasn't a call. It was a text. "Stop digging." Then another message appeared underneath. "The file wasn't the only thing you accessed." My stomach dropped so hard I had to grip the edge of the counter. Marcus moved beside me. "Who keeps sending you this?" "I don't know." But even saying the words felt wrong now. Because somebody clearly knew exactly who I was. Somebody was watching. I locked my phone screen and looked up at Marcus again. His face had gone pale. Not confused, not shocked. Worried. Like he already understood something I didn't. "What paperwork did you sign?" I asked again, slower this time. He exhaled hard and sat down at the kitchen table, dragging both hands over his face. For a few seconds, he didn't answer at all. Then, finally, "They told me you might not make it through surgery." The room suddenly felt smaller. "What?" Marcus looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. "Dr. Keller pulled me aside while they were operating. He said there were complications with the baby, and with you. He said they needed emergency consent forms in case—" His voice broke slightly. "In case something happened." I stared at him. "What forms?" "I don't know exactly," he said quickly. "Everything was happening fast. I signed whatever they put in front of me because I thought you were dying." A heavy silence settled between us. I could hear traffic outside, a dog barking somewhere down the block. Completely normal sounds while my entire life twisted into something unrecognizable. "Did they ever let you see her?" I whispered. Marcus shook his head slowly. "No." That answer hollowed me out, because if neither of us saw her, then the only people who ever confirmed my daughter's death were the hospital staff themselves. Authority, white coats, medical charts, calm voices, people we were trained to trust without question. I suddenly remembered waking up in recovery and asking for my baby over and over until one nurse finally snapped at me to calm down before I damaged my stitches. At the time, I thought she was overwhelmed. Now it sounded rehearsed. I grabbed my laptop again and started searching every saved email from the hospital. Bills, appointment reminders, insurance notices. Then I found something buried in an automated payment receipt. A transfer code. Not discharge, transfer. My pulse started racing. I clicked into the billing details attached to the code and saw the destination listed underneath. St. Catherine Pediatric Care Unit. Marcus stood up immediately. "Eva." "She was transferred," I whispered. My eyes locked onto the screen so hard they started burning. Transferred. Not deceased. Transferred. Marcus stepped closer carefully. Maybe it's another error. But I was already shaking my head. No, this wasn't one mistake anymore. This was a trail. And for the first time since my daughter was supposedly declared dead, I realized somebody had worked very hard to make sure I never followed it. I drove to St. Catharines the next morning without telling anyone. Not Marcus, not my mom, nobody. The entire drive, my hands kept tightening around the steering wheel until my knuckles hurt. Every red light felt unbearable. Every second stretched longer. My mind kept swinging violently between hope and terror. What if she was really there? What if she wasn't? I didn't know which answer would destroy me more. St. Catharines sat on the edge of downtown behind polished glass walls and perfectly trimmed hedges. It looked expensive, quiet, controlled. The kind of place where people trusted the staff instantly the second they walked inside. I hated that. The smell of antiseptic hit me the moment the sliding doors opened. My chest tightened immediately. Hospitals all carried the same smell. Cold, clean, suffocating. I walked straight to reception. My daughter was transferred here after birth, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I need information on her condition. The receptionist smiled automatically at first, professional, detached. Name? Eva Morales, baby girl Morales. Her fingers moved across the keyboard, then stopped. I saw the exact moment her expression changed. Just a flicker, but it was there. Fear. She looked at the screen too long before clearing her throat. I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not finding any patient under that name. She was transferred from Westbridge Medical 6 months ago. Another pause. This one heavier. The receptionist glanced toward a hallway behind her desk before looking back at me. There are no records matching that information. I felt anger rising now, hot and sharp. Then why are you nervous? Her eyes widened slightly. I'm not nervous. You stopped breathing for like 3 seconds. Ma'am, my daughter was declared dead. My voice cracked harder now. Then I found records saying she was alive. So either somebody made a mistake or somebody lied to me. People in the waiting room started looking over. The receptionist lowered her voice immediately. Please calm down. Calm down. Another phrase I was starting to hate. I'm not leaving until somebody explains what happened to my baby. The woman looked behind me suddenly. 2 security guards were approaching fast. My pulse spiked. One of them stepped beside me carefully. Miss, we need you to lower your voice. No, I snapped. Not until someone tells me where my daughter is. The receptionist grabbed the phone beside her desk with trembling fingers, and that was when I heard it. A nurse standing near the hallway leaned toward another employee and whispered quietly, "Call Denise now. The mother found out."
Why are they calling someone before answering her questions? That's not panic over a mistake. That sounds like they have been hiding this.
Everything after that happened so fast, it stopped feeling real. The second I heard the nurse say those words, something inside me locked into place. The mother found out. Not confused woman, not grieving patient, mother. I tried to get past security immediately, but they blocked me before I could reach the hallway. One guard grabbed my arm, not violently, but firmly enough to make it clear I wasn't getting through. You need to leave the property, he said. Who's Denise? I demanded. Why did she say my daughter is here? You're causing a disturbance. That's my child! My voice echoed across the lobby hard enough that people turned completely toward us now. I could feel my chest heaving. Months of grief were unraveling into something uglier. Rage, terror, hope so painful it almost made me sick. Then the nurse who'd whispered froze. Our eyes met for 1 second, and I saw guilt all over her face. Not confusion, not pity, guilt. She disappeared down the hallway immediately. I knew then. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't grieving wrong. They lied to me. Security forced me outside before police arrived, but the damage had already been done. I sat in my car afterward, shaking so hard I couldn't even start the engine. My phone buzzed 20 minutes later. Unknown number again. This time, it was only an address. No message attached. I almost didn't go. Everything about it felt dangerous, insane. But if there was even a chance my daughter was alive, I couldn't stop now. I drove nearly an hour into a quieter neighborhood lined with huge houses and perfectly cut lawns. The address led to a coffee shop. A woman in blue scrubs was waiting inside, the nurse from the hospital. She looked terrified the second I sat down across from her. "You shouldn't have come to St. Catherine's," she whispered. "You told them I found out. They already knew," she said quickly. "Your file triggered alerts when you accessed restricted records." Restricted. The word made my skin crawl. I leaned forward. "Where is my daughter?" The nurse started crying silently before she finally pulled a manila envelope from her bag. Inside were copies of transfer forms, internal hospital documents, a photograph. The second I saw it, my entire body stopped cold. A baby girl, dark curls, small birthmark near her shoulder. The same birthmark I had. I couldn't breathe. "She survived the delivery," the nurse whispered. "Your baby stabilized within hours, but Dr. Keller and Denise, they worked with outside agencies. They targeted mothers who were vulnerable, young, sedated, alone." My vision blurred instantly. "No. They falsified death reports," she continued shakily. "Your daughter was reassigned under a different name 3 days later." Every sound around me faded. Coffee machines, people talking, traffic outside, gone. Because for 6 months I had been mourning my daughter while strangers watched her learn to smile. I stared at the photo with trembling hands. Alive. My baby was alive. Then I looked at the final page in the envelope. Temporary guardianship records. An address. And underneath it, a new name they had given my daughter.
If one hospital could erase mothers with paperwork, signatures, and closed doors this easily, how many other women were told to grieve babies they were never actually gone?